Okay, so today I'm at another comic book store, and I today am speaking with a fellow lady comic book enthusiast, and she's going to share some awesome comic books that she thinks you guys should be reading. So what do we got today?
Start off with something that came out last week, actually. This is The Extraordinary Adventures of Adèle Blanc-Sec. It is written by Jacques Tardi, is translated from French, and there was recently a movie made of this. Came out in April. Hopefully we'll be here soon with wonderful subtitles. There are two stories in this book. The first one features a pterodactyl, as you can see, terror over Paris. Very clever. And the second one features the Mesopotamian god Pazuzu, who has this sort of evil cult following. A bit of a steampunk adventure. Takes place around the turn of the century. A lot of fun. Really nice art, as I will show you. Fairly typical for European comics and whatnot. Next, I will show you some Seth Fisher books. Seth Fisher is one of my favorite illustrators. Unfortunately, he is now dead as he fell off a roof in Japan, which was very sad. I believe I have all of his books here except for a two-parter story that he did called Happy Dale Devils in the Desert, which has never been collected, and if you can find it, it's usually not that expensive, just hard to find. I definitely recommend it. And all of these. Batman Snow was a Legends of the Dark Knight story. It's a Mr. Freeze story, and it's actually the only one of his books that's currently in print. The rest of them will hopefully be back soon. Fantastic Four, Iron Man, Big in Japan, is sort of a surreal adventure with Japanese monsters, and since it's taking place in Tokyo, it doesn't really need to be that much of a stretch to be really surreal and awesome. This is his only book that is not part of mainstream DC or Marvel Universe, except for Happy Dale. Flash Time Flies is a single issue. It's one that's hard to find, but not terribly expensive when you do find it. Green Lantern Will World is one of his best. It's a weird adventure inside the mind of Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. He ends up being trapped in his own imagination for a little while. He has to figure out how to get out. Gorgeous art, gorgeous illustrations. Another book I like a lot is Batman, the Cat and the Bat. A lot like Snow, which was a Legends of the Dark Knight story, this is Batman Confidential. Not sure which issues exactly, but it was a series that I believe it's ended recently, or it's not coming out very often anymore. Short stories by different artists and authors. Each story arc can take place at any point in the Bat career. This one is the first meeting of Batgirl and Catwoman, and there is pretty awesome naked fight in the Gotham Hedonist Society. It's kind of nice. It's Batgirl trying to prove herself by not asking for help, and Catwoman being a bitch. A little both. I am a huge Star Wars fan, and this is one of my favorite Star Wars stories, or anthology collections. It is Star Wars Tales. There are 6 volumes of this. The second one is actually my favorite, which is why I'm out of stock, because I keep recommending it. This is an anthology collection. It can be written by anybody. The stories, there's no reason to read these in order. The stories take place at any point in the Star Wars universe. Could be from the Old Republic era to 20,000 years after the Battle of Yavin. Different artists, different authors. If you're a Star Wars fan, there'll definitely be at least a few stories that you'll like in here. Most of them are pretty awesome.
Awesome.
Star Wars is being one of my favorite genres. This is actually my favorite Star Wars comic, Star Wars Legacy. It takes place in the future. It's Luke Skywalker's grandson, Cade Skywalker. Starts off where he's a child at a Jedi temple, which is ransacked, and he ends up becoming lost in space. His friends think that he has been killed, and he thinks that they abandoned him, and he ends up getting picked up by a pirate convoy, and just grows up bitter and becomes pretty much scum and villainy. He has this pretty impressive ability to hide his Force sensitivity, and a little later in life, when being a Force user, being a Jedi becomes legal, it comes quite in handy. Darth Krayt is the major bad guy, Sith Lord. He has a Yuuzhan Vong seed in his back, which gives him this horrible armor and is also slowly killing him.
Oh.
But he does look pretty badass while he's being killed. Darth Talon, she is this pretty hot Twi'lek girl, Lethan Twi'lek. Star Wars, there's always been the sort of the prophecy that a Skywalker will bring balance to the universe, and at first everyone thought that it was going to be Anakin Skywalker, which of course turned out to be incorrect. Then the story, or the movie, sort of left it at Luke Skywalker, but this story suggests that perhaps it was not Luke and is in fact Cade. He has this ability to bounce back and forth between the light side and the dark side. He has a huge hatred for his Jedi past, but he's able to use Jedi healing abilities without being tempted by the dark side. He actually takes drugs, he takes stims in order to suppress his Force abilities. And this comic is $1. It's the first issue. Dark Horse and a lot of other publishers have these comics that you can get. If you're interested in trying a new series and not spending 10 to 20 bucks on a graphic novel that you may or may not like, spend $1 and get the first issue. Check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you, lady. Go to your local comic book shops and totally ask for these amazing titles that she has spotlighted. Again, I will link the sites to where the names of the titles and the books and the publishers. So yeah, thank you again, lady.
Thank you.